Another message is that if you can also use the Ceph CI to do. Last year we talked about using the Docker build to do. Therefore, we can use less custom scripts. This year, I want to have even more simple workflow. You can have a very simple and direct way. Last year, we can use the CLI to run. How about the supporting all of these methods is not good because in past. Also, if we want to test more OS. Last year we can only use CentOS and SUSE. Now we can use more OS methods. In other environments such as AWS and OpenStack, the container services such as Kubernetes. There are too many environments we have to handle. I want to do it further as script or 1.4, just like this cartoon. If we just stick to a television on the ceiling that for once, and we can just lie down home and enjoy. Moreover, if we do manual installation, what if you take a sick leave and that everything will help? The deploy result could be outdated and resulting in synchronized code. For manual scripting, yeah, we can use some script, but how about like exception handling? There are a lot of fussy things to handle. The first concept is to for manual installation of machines. If it is coding anyway, by not automating all these procedures, just using Git. Last time, if we use a dirty installation, then this time we can get some logs to do the error detection and debug to improve. probably much easier to manage and deploy. For the different environment to deploy, in this case, for example, for the same hard disk, we can have different IP. You can deploy to 10 different sites. There are many features such as Ceph and Puppets, which are the older tools. But even I can't really learn them. Before going to DevOps, I have to use other tools, but I'm actually a PhD developer. It takes even just 3 months to even just start basic. Ansible, it is in YAML, which is very common readable, so it minimizes extra documentation. It also follows some basic concepts in Unix command lines. So this file, such as this directory, and we want to break down some large things for different smaller functions. For example, if we want to install some apt packages, we can use either a breakdown come together. We also have some things handle hidden. We also have some hidden edge cases. How can we handle these? There are some brute force. You can use a bash shell command to handle it. For one use case, if you want to automate use a Puppet and a lot of functions, if we want to, if we take 50 to 60 lines to write, it's just a make command. If we want to, we can just use a simple shell command. Because Ceph and Puppet, they actually have a client daemon to use. But Ansible, the most primitive concept. As long as the server has an SSH tunnel installed, and kind of ITP, there are nothing else to handle. It is basically agentless. There are many modules. Why DevOps has to be use Ansible? Ansible with VM and other ways, such as CLI command line. You also have playbook, role, and other tools. We also have this year the Delegate installer to install. Ansible, after installing Ansible, you can just add a command. Then we can paint several machines together. If we don't use paint, can we just just use VM? Yeah, this is the second line example. We can use this command to install often to every machine. The most use case for me if we have an age, I check the usage of the hard disk.
Do you want just ramble through your history after 109? you have to write it down. So there are playbook. So take this as an example. So there are calls to all the connected machines to do a digital update. So you can write it task by task. And of course, you have your code ready. So you're waiting for your results. So there are variations of writing styles here. As for when you have some mundane duties and there are no readable substitutions, and in certain scenarios, and we have only 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the clients provided a unsuitable machines for you, like us, then it's not suitable to do a static hard code adjustment. Then you should modularize your code from the perspective of OOP. And Role is the OOP's version for Ansible. And it takes care of your variables for adjustment. That you can copy files from template through this. If you have updated your SSA browser, it helps you to restart your open SSA browser. You can imagine, traditionally you have a role to use playbook. When you're doing a new role with Ansible Galaxy, it's the simplest. You can deploy it through here. But if you deploy local here, it's clumsy. And the functionality is limited. You can further use Molecule. It's a test framework for Ansible. It takes care of the whole process of your test case. You can open a Docker container, and sometimes it screws up, and then you have to verify the result. And it won't screw up your workstation. From the same step, there's no change when you test it again. The molecule testing framework realizes all driver supports, and you can run a test case at debut. When you define all, and you can run a molecule test directly. And it's similar to a playbook. There are link tests at the end. It automatically checks all the things necessary. So here are some bypassing. You cannot have an Ansible role independently. So there are dependency. You have to wrap the playbook so it cannot exist independently. If you have a molecule with a delegate driver, then you can localize it. if your role depends on 10 other roles. If you have default test state, then it does not require your own custom playbook. So here is a demo when I'm installing an SSH. Here's what I do. So you have the right folder, you have the right source code, and then you just run the coverage. So I have a simulator here. So you initialize a role, and here are certain instructions. So they all run into the molecule folder. And at Debian there's dependency state, and it downloads all other dependency roles and create a test for Docker, and you have Delegate. So you run the test after preparation. The live demo often screw up. So just try it. Even Bill Gates screw up sometimes. Let's see how it works out. I have a role here. If I run the coverage, so I have 4 stages. I have labeled out the dependencies are here, and it automatically downloads them. Do I need to prepare anything else? No. My computer is already adequately prepared. So we have installed the OpenSSHD and ensured the hotkeys. So they don't generate further host keys on my machine. And I have my cloud permissions ready. Even if I need to restart at some point, it can do it for me. So let's open the code and review them. You can see the standard Ansible coding here. If I have to prepare a directory, it's all done, key values, as long as the template is prepared, and I have wordings for substitutions, then it will be replicated to the respective servers. If I have any changes, it will restart it for me later on. The same thing for confirm cloud permission. For bypassing things, the Ansible roles, we have a Delegate driver here. Continue. We are done with VM. You can write a playbook or use substitutions to wrap, like a basic unit. Or you just transform the role into an installer. Let's go on to Docker. We mainly touch on Docker image here. You should be familiar with Dockerfile. You know how to write it, but it's difficult, it's complicated. You have to set it x-ex and other commands. So how about we use Ansible? So there's this Ansible Buildah. So you can just use molecule plus Docker. So you can use Podman and Buildah. So there are lots of programmatic interactive mechanisms. So you can commit a layer with Buildah. You have to manually push to Docker Hub after you complete it. On day view, you can integrate with Travis CI, but then you'll screw up. I have tried, but I couldn't handle it. Can it support Docker? No, it can't. If you don't build the image to execute, you cannot deal with it. It's not compatible with Molecule. So everything is limited. What can we do? So you can use brute force. You use Docker driver to set up environment and run Molecule with it. So there are ad hoc procedures with Docker container. So there's this single layer. After that, it's exactly what I wanted. The Docker container committed the whole thing, and then I can push to a repository. It's just technical issues here. You have your entry points, CMD, expose, and some Docker containers are compulsory. If you have study MariaDB, then you have the Docker official file, and you can have a Google app in your set, and you don't have to change your user. You just use a custom Docker file with metadata, as shown here. You have environment variables, and we have minimal locale. When I create, although I am using the existing Docker file, so on day view, we would command it to sleep. So the create procedure will command the system to sleep, and it commissions the Docker container. And when you're deleting the Docker container, it will commit it automatically. The result is the wanted Docker image, and you have committed already. And now end it. Then it's done. So it's one of the examples for Docker Jira. So it's a Tomcat driver-based application. So when you're running, you have to adopt OpenJDK and interdependency. All the dependencies, I have set the roles for them and have individual testing. And use Molecule and Docker driver to construct a Docker container and then commit it. And everything with Travis CI is really simplified. And here's step by step, a source code, and commit and push it to Docker to run the test, and mess it, and then push, and throw it to Docker Hub. The result image is one single layer. And you need to clean up for your own tested results, at least in the Ansible Role deployment. all the messy things like there to it. On Docker's front, you just need to write up a Docker image and custom script. As regards to runtime, we have used Vagrant. And there are many limitations to Docker, and you need a virtual box to run it, to localization. And I'm going to do a demo later on. Everything that needs to be downloaded here. So you need to do a deployment of Ceph. You can host on a Docker environment. Then you can do a Spotify. And it would not accept a simulated Spotify. So you have ways depend on your machine whether that has a unique machine ID. So I was so fed up with it. That's why I choose to do everything localized. So I took up a test at VirtualBox. So since last year, they have run GCE machines and run the virtual machine inside a virtual machine. So we use Ceph, etcd, and we have 2+ machines to do testings. So I open up 2 more machines to run our tests. Can I try 3? I tried, but at Traffic CI, the maximum test time is 15 minutes. So I gave up. But it's already surpassing Docker. And I find it interesting with OS. So there are more scenarios in OS. In the past, it only supports Ubuntu. If I use KVM, the Vagrant image are all supported. The generic project. When I'm supporting multiple OS platforms, and it's really easy to do cluster tests with Vagrant box. That's why I gave up all the other options. When you are running a full virtualization, it takes 5 minutes to set up 2 instances. And it adds just 2 minutes at most for more simple tests. So 5 minutes overhead at most. So comparatively, I would choose 5 minutes. So here's Vagrant. So in this scenario, I have a Kubernetes and precedent storage, and I have installed some other add-ons like Ceph Manager. I have written up a collection, and apart from role on playbook, we have already some collections on it. So collection is something that includes role, and they have a lot of OS support. You can access my source code via GitHub. So at best, it can support all scenarios and all in one. But it takes more than 15 minutes. At least on production side, you have 3 machines and all installed. Can you separate front end and back end on 3 machines? Yes. Can you separate Kubernetes nodes and Ceph? Yes, it can be done. So you have 6 machines at most. And when you have separated the WAN, LAN, then it can be customized. I use Ubuntu myself. The Red Hat doesn't support Docker anymore, so it's meaningless. In the world of Red Hat, they all use Podman and command C run. So you have CIO on Kubernetes. Every one of them is simple stupid component. It's much faster here. I use Ceph FS to do a backend. So this is an architecture inside the machine that I mentioned just now. And you have to run container with and CFI. So this is the whole flow from in to out. So here are the architecture involved in this demo. I use Drupal in my main job. So I have Drupal. I can also use Jira with Apache to do a test. So you can use Let's Encrypt as long as you have a public IP. As long as your every step is backed up. So when you run playbook, you can see that they will install all 3 storage and controllers to do centralized management. You just have to configure all the variables, and it runs for 3 minutes, and then you'll be ready, and it is already clustered, and Kubernetes is also clustered and ready. Another scenario with Ansible is to migrate. You can use Kubernetes Addons. With Operator SDK. Or you can use Kubernetes templates to write up an operator. For example, you want to install Jira, and you have load balancer and application stable step. Then you can wrap it up one form. It is written with Ansible. I can even write up a custom runtime. Regarding chips, when you're doing DevOps, you want everything can be repeated. And it runs many times for your tests, and it messes with your machine. So there are test cases for all the cases that you write. And when you are committed, you also trigger the test and to see if there are errors. And you write the Ansible roles and molecules. And it's just like assembling Lego. If you are ad hoc and you want to install Ansible in your machine or Python, you just clone the role and deploy the test case, and it will be just like installer, and use molecule and delegate. And for more complicated test case, my suggestion is forget about it and run the case and use private CI and group to run. Finally, when you are doing a deployment and cluster deployment, it should be enough. When you're doing basic building blocks with Docker image, then you can commit it. And this year, we'll have a Ansible Operator add-on. I will talk more about it next year. So people are fed up with Docker now. And in running cluster, I'm using other tools. And when you are doing container, I will use Travis CI with container. Then I can retire Docker entirely. I have 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A. So this slide will be shared through SlideShare. And you can also review our slides from last year. Cluster FS was my first trial. I would suggest you to just give it up. Just give it up. The design methodology do more harm than good. So you have the object story. So you have the sector. Cluster just bypass everything, and you cannot conduct a performance training. So you have to supplement the block device later. Although they are all acquired by Red Hat. So the base is always shared. Then that makes no difference. But cluster have data loss, so it causes confidence problems. Just use Ceph. You can also contact me via Facebook. So the material will be also shared through open source conference Facebook.